What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel and a quick impromptu little video today. Patch 1.04 just dropped like 7 minutes ago for Elden Ring, so I wanted to go through the patch notes. I've actually perused, I've actually scanned them already. I have to say, if this patch isn't known as the buff patch, I don't know what the hell's going on, but just insane, a huge amount of buffs. I wouldn't say insane buffs, but a huge amount of buffs across the board, especially when it comes to weapon arts and the spells that you can cast, sorceries, incantations, and all of that. So without any further ado, let's just quickly go through these. I don't want to keep you too long, but again, like I said, a huge amount of buffs present here. So yes, unfortunately, they haven't created an easy mode for the game yet. They haven't patched in an easy mode for the game, but my god, if this is not a step in the direction of actually making things a lot more easier for people, it's going to be interesting to see. And once we start diving into these, it'll make sense why I say this, but it's going to be interesting to see the effect that this is going to have on PvP, because a lot of these actually open up the game in terms of like spell and weapon art usage versus just straight up attacking, because yeah, reasons, but we'll see. So in any case, just starting us off with some additional elements added here, some camera rotation and some additional event phases for the NPC patches, so who cares about that. Then when we get to balance adjustments, now specifically this section here is mostly dealing with colossal weapons, colossal swords, great swords, great hammers, and so on. But what's really interesting here is they've actually increased the attack speed and they've lowered the recovery time of colossal swords, colossal weapons. This does not include the jump attack. And they've also increased the two-handed attack damage of these weapons. So overall, a really nice buff to this. Strength characters that play with these weapons are really going to love this. This is going to make you essentially hit faster, hit harder, and also recover quicker from those big swings. So just really phenomenal. Then we do have an increased physical block rate and guard boost for these weapons as well. So just in any case, if you are using colossal weapons, then this is a great patch for you, because this is a lot of love being shown to those weapons. And if you're a strength player that, you know, kind of goes for that whole berserk, big weapons running around kind of playstyle, then this is absolutely gonna do well for you. Obviously, they haven't attached any of this to the jump attacks, because jump attacks are stupid strong already as it is, and especially with the right setup, jump attacks can be ridiculous, and I mean like talismans and whatnot. Then we have increased damage to the crafted blade greatsword, increased damage to the devourer's scepter, and then they've decreased the scaling of status build-up effects from spells and incantations of the Albinoric staff and dragon communal seal. So this is just an overall kind of like decrease of the scaling of those. I'd need to put in some testing here. In my opinion, I was already using a different seal to the dragon communion seal in any case, because of it having better scaling, and I haven't really goofed around with the Albinoric staff at all, but definitely have to check that out. Then decrease the effect of great shield talisman for weapons with a high block rate. So this is just overall kind of just pulling it a little bit more into line. Now shortened the length of the madness afflicted animation. Now if you've been doing some PvP, you'll know this madness has kind of like gotten more popular, and there's like an animation that you go through when that effect takes a effect on you, and that usually gives the enemy like free attacks on you and that sort of thing. So this actually just shortens the length of that, which gives you a little bit more chance if that actually hits you. And then it says it lowered the speed of madness build up recovery. So this actually, so lowering the speed of madness build up recovery, actually this to me means then it's more difficult to get rid of madness, if I'm reading this correctly. I could be wrong. Lowered the speed of madness build up recovery. So this is recovering from madness building up, so it lowered the speed of that. Yes, so this is actually making madness a little bit more sticky, actually hangs on for a little bit longer. And then slightly increase FP and stamina growth rate at lower levels, which is good. Like essentially just means that at lower levels, as you're coming up, you're actually going to see these ones, their growth rate actually increase on the FP and stamina side. But they do mention here as well that to get this bonus, if you already have like a high level character, you have to do one of these 4 things: either level up, either activate Godric's Ruin, re-equip any of your equipment that grants bonuses to any of these stats here, or any other weapon balance changes will basically trigger this effect. So do bear in mind, if you want to benefit from this slightly increase, which can affect you retroactively, basically do remember to do one of these things. But in general, I mean, we all level up at some point, unless you're holding at a certain level like 75, 100, 125, 150, whatever. If you're trying to do the PvP meta, then you are going to have to bear in mind that you're gonna have to do one of these other 3 things. Okay, enough with this. Now we get to the juicy shit. So first of all, as you can see, this entire, and they label it as upwards adjustments, meaning making it better. There's an entire section here just on spells. This is ridiculous, right? So this is sorceries and incantations mixed. I'm not going to read through all of them, but this is good shit. There's not a single nerf here. In general, the theme seems to be that the cast speed gets increased. So a lot of the times what holds you back, especially with the bigger spells, is that you have a big wind up to the spell actually firing, and that gives guys time to close in on you. But this is not just PvP, by the way, this is PvE as well. So if you're in a fight with a boss or something like that, a little bit of a difference in terms of casting speed time is gonna make the difference between whether you fire a spell off or you don't. So just as a given, as you can scan through these, again, increase cast speed, it's a big theme here. So they're making a lot of the spells fire a lot quicker. Now I'll be doing some tests to see exactly how much that is. I mean, guys, they don't specify percentages here, so it could literally be they've increased it by 0.1%, which is, you know, like nothing. But and also it would be interesting to see if this is an adjustment across the board, so it's just a flat amount that they apply to all spells, or whether they looked at each one individually and applied different percentages. But the bottom line here is, if for instance we're talking about a 5% increase, a 10% increase, that's huge. That can make a big difference. And so they also decrease the recovery time, and that's of course before you can cast again. So huge buffs here, and definitely some popular spells, you know, of course mentioned here. Again, this is not all of the spells in the game, but there's a huge amount of them here. Now we don't see a lot of damage increases, but we do see decreased FP cost, which means you can cast more of it before you have to, you know, kind of, you know, refill yourself. But we do see some damage increases as well, like Tibia Summon, we see increased damage. One that interested me was Triple Rings of Light. We see increased damage, which I already thought this spell was, or rather this incantation was fucking juicy. So this just kind of like already makes it kind of cool. We also see increased damage with Radagon's Rings of Light. So just in general, this is just like a whole bunch of good stuff here. Fortis Axe's Lightning Spear, decreased FP and stamina cost, increased cast speed, decreased recovery time, allows casters to withstand enemy attack while casting Morellium, which means you're not going to get poised, staggered, or damaged, that it pulls you out of the animation of casting it, and that you can actually finish the spell, which is just, this is phenomenal. This might go down, guys, we still haven't gotten to the bottom part, but this might go down as the patch that spellcasters love. And it's just because so much love has been given to them here, and just in general, it's just a lot of buffs. This of course carries on when we get down to the dragon stuff, like for instance Placidusax's Ruin, which is a spell that I actually use, decreases FP, stamina cost, and recovery time, which is pretty much like the things that I hated about the spell was the fact that it was so expensive, the fact that it cost so much stamina, and the fact that it took so goddamn long to recover from it before you could cast it again. So again, this is some stuff that I'll be doing some tests on, but this is good shit. If you were looking to get into spellcasting, or if you've been holding down on spellcasting while everybody's been making you bleed and, you know, messing you up with bleed builds and madness builds and this and that, then this is a good time for you to jump up in the air and fucking high five yourself, because there's really some phenomenal buffs here. Then we also do have upward and downward adjustments mentioned here. So this means that, you know, it's kind of like a buff and it's kind of like a nerf. And as an example, we can look at Adula's Moonblade, which is again a great spell. Decreases the power of a single cast. So if I'm not you know, remembering this wrong, Adula's Moonblade basically increases the damage with consecutive casts. So the thing is, this then says decreases the power of a single cast, which means just using it once off isn't going to be that powerful, and improve performance so that the blades and the frost hit more consistently and continuously. So Adula's Moonblade essentially hits around you like this and hits like a wide arc of frost damage. So this just makes it, you know, more efficient, and then increases its cast speed at lower dexterity. So again, kind of like it nerfs the damage a little bit, but it definitely improves the usability of it, and that it hits more stuff, and that it also, you know, goes faster at a lower dexterity, which most likely, if you are playing a sorcerer, you're gonna maybe go a little bit into dexterity to get the increased cast speed. But in testing, we've seen that that's not like that much, that you would rather choose dexterity above getting you into a specific level that you can, you know, damage cap. So So yeah, but then again, just somewhere, and then we do see like 3 downwards adjustments, aka nerfs, and that's Swarm of Flies. It decreases the blood loss buildup on enemy. Flame of Frenzy decreases the madness buildup, and Frenzied Burst decreases the madness buildup. Now, I believe both of these, I haven't myself built a madness class yet, but I believe that Flame of Frenzy and Frenzied Burst are both quite important for those, especially I believe Frenzied Burst. So this is an overall nerf to the madness meta, if we can call it that. Now, at this point in time, we go into the weapon skills then. So this is, of course, your weapon. I call them weapon arts. I know I'm going to get shit for that. But the weapon skills themselves, again here, massive buffs. In terms of the volume. Again, we don't know if this is increased by 10%, 50%, 5 million%, whatever. We don't know. The testing will have to happen, which of course I'll do. Keep an eye out for the channel. I'll definitely be mentioning the outliers, the ones which are now like ridiculous. But the point is, again, you're seeing here that increased cast speed, decreased recovering time is a trend here. So this is why I said at the beginning of the video that it's going to be interesting to see what this does for PvP. For PvP, this is a fucking straight across the board win, because it just means that you're gonna have an easier time to fire off your skills, fire off your weapon arts, fire off your abilities, all of that stuff against bosses and enemies, which means that, you know, just general, this is, you know, better for us as players. But when it comes to PvP, this can, you know, especially the spells adjustment here, can maybe possibly shift the meta. And it's very interesting to me that what we're not seeing here, and again, I'm scrolling all the way to the bottom here now, there is no mention of any nerfs to bleed, right? So this means that they from software could be approaching the meta in a different angle and basically saying, okay, you know what, let's make some other options more attractive for players, and then we can sort of get them off this whole, you know, bleed meta. And whether that's the case or not remains to be seen. I mean, we have to see how it develops, but it's certainly an interesting approach and one which I welcome. I often on the channel and in streams and stuff like that discuss the benefits of nerfing something versus, you know, bringing other stuff up, and there's pros and cons to both of that approaches. But this is definitely interesting coming from software that they do it this way. So we will have to see how it goes. But again, a lot of weapon skill changes here, and most of them just increasing the cast speed, which means you can pull those off faster and get your damage through. And in some cases also actually reducing the recovery time, which means you can do it more often. And just in general, again, not damage boost so much, but one could argue and say that if you increase the cast speed and you decrease the recovery time, you actually just increase your damage over time. So over time, you're going to be able to get lots more damage out, and this will stack up over time. But again, huge amount. You can see me just scrolling here. I'm again, this could be an hour video where I read through all of these. I'm not going to do that. You guys can read just fine. But yeah, really awesome. Then we do have one upward and downward, again, just a sort of like a buff and a nerf, I guess. Decrease the damage when not charged of thundercloud form, but they also decrease the FP cost, which is a buff, and increase cast speed and decrease recovery time, again a buff, so making the skill fire off quickly. So whether this patch goes down as the spellcasters patch or the buff patch or the fucking speed patch, I guess remains to be seen. But definitely huge buffs, just a like 5 screens worth of shit, which is going to be interesting. It kind of opens up, there's so much stuff to test, there's so much things we can try now, there's so many, you know, different things that we kind of gave up on because it took too long to cast, it wasn't viable because guys would jump down your throat too fast in PvP, or bosses would roll up to you too quickly. You can now go like, wait a minute, let me go back and let me go check that out. Last but not least, I do want to just cover the bug fixes. There's a whole bunch here. Again, not going to read through all of them. However, I do want to pull your attention to the very first 2, which I think are probably the 2 most important ones here. The first one, fixed a bug where the damage of inescapable frenzy was affected by right hand weapon. So this was causing, I believe, a bit of shit in PvP. And then fixed a bug where damage of weapon arts care and retaliation was increased by weapon and status, and the effect was not displayed correctly during online multiplayer. Now, people have come out and said that this was fixed the previous patch, but I was still getting killed by this plenty of times in PvP, where guys were essentially, you know, using this bug and making the carry retaliation. In other words, the blades above your head be invisible, and then just sort of walking around, and you think, okay, cool, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna attack, or they run past you and all these blades just like hit you, and there was no way for you to know it was coming or to dodge it or anything like that because it was invisible. So this has now actually been addressed and fixed. Of course, I'll be jumping into PvP to see if that is the case, but these two first ones are big ones, I would say. This allows these two sort of bugs not to feature in PvP that much and generally be a fucking hassle. Again, a bunch of other ones here, I've read through them, not massive ones that I want to call out specifically right now, or at least that come to mind. But that's pretty much going to be it for the video. It went a little bit longer than I wanted it to go. We're at 15 minutes, but I think this is a phenomenal patch. It was a huge surprise for me to see it this morning, as a person that not only likes playing the game but likes to test different pieces of gear and, you know, measure things against each other. This is like a massive new amount of work, aka fun, that I can have with the game, so I'm super happy about it. But let me know in the comments down below what you think of this patch. Just on the note side, because I doubt any of you at the time of watching this would have put too many hours into playing it, but also give it a try and come back later to the video and let me know what you think of the patch, and if you're a spellcaster and now suddenly the game is the fucking shit, which I imagine that you might say. But that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. It's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, a great afternoon, and a super awesome evening wherever you are in the world. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me.